God. Look at what we have achieved. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnston. The Rock. This effect, which you're still probably reeling from, I understand, is mostly the work of these guys from this very nice paper, and also in combination with a stable diffusion image. So basically, what they created is this thing where you put a video of someone talking, or performing Tai Chi or something, and then an image of someone, and then you make the person in the image, the still image, do the thing that the person in the video was doing. I think this explains it pretty well. And of course, you want to do this yourself because you've just had like some really cool and not at all inappropriate idea that you want to put into action. So I'm going to help you do that. And I'm going to do that by installing this repository on my computer and all its dependencies from scratch, and then taking a stable diffusion image and actually running it to get a result. Here, I have the steps that I'm going to perform. So the first thing to do is download Python 3.9. Okay, great. Here we are on the Python 3.9 page. The link will be in the description, don't panic. And okay, we need to check out what version of Windows we have, because sometimes there's 32-bit Windows if they're a bit older, 64-bit Windows are a bit newer. So we go System Information, and then we check here. Okay, system type is an x64-based PC. So now that we know that, we can go and get this installer. We're going to get the installer, not the zip file, because that's just easier to work with. And beforehand, we're just going to do a few checks, right? We're going to go to CMD and we're going to type where Python. And as we can see, there are a few versions of Python already installed on our computer. And what we can do is we can check which Python version the computer is currently using. So we go Python version. And it's using 3.7. We want it to be using 3.9. So at the moment, if we try to do everything, it's not going to work. We're going to have a bad time. Okay, so I'll close the command prompt now. Python is finished installing. And importantly, we have to check this box because we want to add Python to the path. I'm not going to go too deep into that at the moment, but you just want to check that box because that tells the computer where your Python 3.9 is. Okay, now I'm going to install. Again, this is really quick. In the meantime, I'll do a funky little dance. Okay, setup was successful. That's exactly what we want to see. We'll open command prompt again, and where Python. And now you can see this Python 3.9 has been added to our list. So that means, great, Python 3.9 has been installed. And Python version 3.9, great. So now a Python is exactly as it should be for us to be able to run this project. Whenever you install a Python using one of these exe files and then hit the add to path button, whenever that happens, the newest version of Python you just installed will be given priority over all the older ones. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to download that repository. So we go to the URL, and up the very top, code download zip. Okay, so here we are. The zip file is in my downloads folder. I'm just going to extract everything, and I'm going to extract it into my downloads folder because I'm crazy. I'm insane. That's how deranged of a person I am. But obviously, you'll probably want to put it in like your code folder or something, or project or something. Okay, cool. Now I can delete this zip file. Never going to need that again. Okay. So now I've downloaded the repository. I guess let's have a look inside it. So you've got this main folder, and then inside that there's like another subfolder. That seems a bit silly. We can probably delete this. We're going to chuck this directly into downloads. Okay, so now you go to downloads, thin plate spline motion model Windows main, and then here's all the files and stuff that's in there. Okay, what's next? Install dependencies. Where are the dependencies? Now, you can also, if you don't like doing it my way, you can do it their way, and you can use Anaconda. I don't know what it is with Anaconda exactly, but every time I use it, I have to do some screwing around. And it's harder to screw around with Anaconda than it is just to screw around with Python, basically. So that's why I'm just using Python at the moment. So next, it's telling us to use pip to install all the requirements listed in requirements.txt. So if we go to our folder again here, we can see there, it's referring to this file here. This is the requirements.txt. This is under the repository folder. And these are all just different Python packages that you need to install to run this code. When I run this, it doesn't work. And the reason is that these two lines here require a bit of special treatment. Without getting too technical, this coup plus coup113 thing is non-standard. And pip doesn't know how to handle it. And the reason that it's non-standard is this is a special version of PyTorch and a special version of Torch Vision that allow the code to run on your GPU. So because I want the code to run on my GPU, I'm going to have to keep these in here and do some special installing. If you just have a CPU, and this code does run on the CPU, just very slowly, you can simply delete these bits here and pip install normally, and you'll be fine. But because I do want it to run on my GPU, and if you have a GPU, I guarantee that you want it to as well, I'm gonna go in here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut both of these lines out and then save. So now when we pip install, it'll work basically. But before we pip install, we're going to have to do a few manual things. So open up command prompt, go to the directory. Yeah, nice. Here we are in the directory, and we can see all the folders in it. Right, requirement.txt is one of the files. Excellent. Now, a bit of a sanity check. We're just going to make sure we have the right Python version. Great, Python 3.9, so we're ready to go. And now we're going to run a few custom commands. I've put these custom commands in here already, but basically we're installing Torch and Torch Vision in a special way. Okay, so we just paste that command in, and we run, and we pray. Okay, so that finished really quickly for me, but for you it'll probably take about half an hour, because it involves downloading this like huge file, about 2 gigabytes. So when you run this command, the install torch equals 1.12.0 plus Q13F the URL. When you run that command, expect that to take about half an hour. It'll have like a little bar that slowly fills up, so you can tell it's not like hanging. Okay, and then just looking at this, successfully installed Torch, great. Now we install Torch Vision, and this will be quick because it also relies on the same big file that we just downloaded, so it'll be quick. And yeah, as you can see, it was very quick. Okay, so then once that's completed, we just run the pip install requirements.txt, keeping in mind that we've modified the file and we've taken out those Torch and Torch Vision and installed them manually in a different way. So pip install our requirements.txt, great. That completed really, really fast for me because I've done it already. For you, it'll take a bit longer, but you shouldn't have any issues at all. Okay, so we've done most of the installation. We just need to actually download the models. First thing we're going to do is create a folder called checkpoints, just as it tells us to do. And that's in the root of the repository directory. Okay, and then we'll go to Google Drive. I found Google Drive easier to use than the other one. Here are all the things that we need. And now all we need to do is download them. It'll zip, it'll take a while, maybe expect like 20 minutes or so, depending on how fast your internet is. Sometimes Google Cloud is a bit unreliable. The download might like cut out halfway if it's feeling zesty, so just be prepared for that. You might have to try download it multiple times. So here's the zip file we just downloaded from Google, and if we go into it, we can see it's got a subdirectory and then a whole bunch of models, and this is all we need. Okay, so we'll extract this just into the downloads folder. Windows main is the directory with all the code in it. This is the one with just the models. We'll go into it, copy all the models. In fact, we'll cut them because we're not going to need them again. Go back into that main directory, into the checkpoints, and then paste. Great, there we are. Oh, great, great. Now we're on to run the model. Now, here's what I did. Here's the dumb, stupid, dumb thing that I did. I got my own image, I got my own audio, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna, pen, pineapple, apple, pen, let's do it. And I ran it, and the results were like shocking and terrible. So I had to spend a lot of time poking around and working out what was wrong and looking into different parameters and stuff, and that sucked. So what you should always do in cases like this is run the default command with the default image and the default video first, so that at least you know, okay, everything's working fine. And then you change one thing, you change a small thing, and then if it doesn't work, you know exactly why it's not working. So that's really important with these kind of things. Now, luckily, the guys who made the repository are wise and kind. And as a consequence, they have made this assets folder. And inside the assets folder are an image and a video that you can use yourself. The image is Trump, the video is Jackie Chan.
他们是人类的好朋友，所以呢，我们要爱
Some strange mystical tongue. So we're going to put those together, and we're going to see how it goes. The command we're going to run is this one here. And just let's go through it bit by bit. The first bit says python demo.py. That refers to this file here. And what that's saying is, hey, Python, run this code in this file, and you can read the file if you really want. Next, config vox256.yaml. Okay, so that's the config folder, and that's referring to this one here, the vox one. And this is just some parameters to tell the model exactly what to do and what not to do. Okay, great. Next, checkpoints voc path tar. Okay, so checkpoints, and then we have vox path tar. So it's saying use this model, essentially. There are a bunch of different models that it's given us a whole bunch. We'll go into that later, but it's telling us use this model. Okay, cool. Source image, great. Assets source.png, so assets source, that's the Trump one, and driving video is assets driving with MP4. Okay, cool. So, great. We know exactly what it's going to be doing now, and what we should get is Trump saying,
他们是人类的好朋友，
saying this.
所以呢，我们要爱。
So grab all this, go back in our command prompt, which is inside the repository directory, and then paste, and wait. Again, because I'm using a GPU, this will be fairly quick. Now, what we'll have in the main directory is this thing called result.mp4. Let's see. It looks pretty damn good, but it doesn't have any audio, unfortunately. So we're going to close this, and we have to give it some audio. Now, I'm going to use something called FFmpeg to take the audio from the original Jackie Chan video and stick it underneath our new video. But FFmpeg is a huge pain to install on Windows, or it's just a bit of a pain to install on Windows. So instead, maybe what you want to do is just use a video editor. I use FFmpeg because it's quicker. You don't need to open anything, you need to drag anything around. You run one command and suddenly you have your audio. So because it makes my workflow faster, I think it's worth the annoyance. But if you want, you can just use this MP4 file plus the original MP4 file in a video editor to move the audio across. For those of you who are brave of heart, let's get into FFmpeg. So this is the website, which I will link, and you have to go to this Windows thing here, and then you want to go Windows builds by BTBN, and you'll be given a GitHub page. And there's always this chance the latest build will fail, so that's always a risk you have to take. But in 99.99% of cases, the latest build will work fine. So we will just, because we already know that we are 64-bit, we're just going to use this master latest Win64 zip. That should be fine. And we're just going to download that. And while that's downloading, we're just going to perform our test. So we go cmd, and then we're going to work out if FFmpeg is already installed in our system. Because if it is, then we don't need to worry. Okay, and it says, no, I'm sorry. You asked for where FFmpeg, and we don't have it. Sorry. Okay, that's exactly what we expected, so that's fine. We'll close this, go to downloads, which is where the zip file we just downloaded is, and we'll extract. I'll just extract it to the downloads folder. And once that's completed, I can just delete both of these zip files. They're not important anymore. Okay, so inside it, we've got another subdirectory. Right, okay. And all we need to do is just take this and put it somewhere on our computer that's like not silly. So I'm gonna cut that, and I'm gonna take it back to the local disk. I'll paste it, and I'll rename this to FFmpeg. So get everything. We'll just make this. And in my case, I already had an FFmpeg directory, so I'm just gonna delete my old one, and I'll rename this one, yeah, FFmpeg. So now we've put FFmpeg in a sensible place where it'll be easy to find. We won't run into it all the time when we're messing around normally. Now what we need to do is make sure that this file here called ffmpeg.exe is in the path. And what the path is, all it is a list of places the computer will look for programs. So when we typed in where ffmpeg before, the computer looked in all the normal places, couldn't find anything, so it told us, I'm sorry, we couldn't find anything. So once we alter the path to include this directory, local disk ffmpeg bin, then when we try to look for it again, the computer will find it. Okay, so first thing we do is we find out where this thing is located. Details, security, general. Great. Location C ffmpeg bin. We copy that. Then we go start and then path. And it'll bring up this thing, edit system and environment variables. Then you go environment variables, then you find the one called path, then you make a new one, ffmpeg.bin, okay. And if you open up path again, you'll see that there's this new one down there. Great, okay. And now let's see, if we open up command prompt again, it should know where ffmpeg is. Great, okay, fantastic. So now it knows where ffmpeg is and ffmpeg is installed. Well done. If you're doing computer things with audio and video and stuff, ffmpeg will come in handy. So you haven't wasted your time, I guarantee it. Okay, so now we're going to run this ffmpeg command. ffmpeg commands are really hard to understand, and I never bother understanding them. But the bits that we do need to understand are the input, which in this case is supposed to be, let's find it. Let's make sure that we get the name right. So this is the repository for the spline thing, assets, driving.mp4, okay? Driving.mp4. Next, this is the name of the output, so we'll call it final.mp4. And this is the file that's having audio added to it, which is actually result.mp4. It's this one with the silent drum here. Okay, so we've got our command, great. Now we navigate to the directory, we're already in the directory, excellent, paste, and instant. That's sort of the nice thing about ffmpeg. So now we should have this final file, great.
感情的，他们是人类的好朋友，所以呢，我们要爱护花草树木。
It's actually pretty satisfying to watch, hey? Okay, great. So now we have reached base camp. We're safe, we've got all our tents, everything's set up, we've got all our gear, we know everything's working, and now we can begin our ascent. We need a fun idea. We need a fun idea to do. We need a fun image and some fun video as well. Now, I was sort of looking for a while at this nice video here of this man, and I thought, oh, this is sort of a nice still. I wonder, maybe we can make this guy say something funny. And I was sort of looking online for like, oh, what's a fun thing to do? And so I found this reel of renowned voice actor Jim Cummings going through a bunch of different of his characters, always saying, "Let's get dangerous," which is kind of fun. You know, it's got a nice, good view of his face. You can see how his face contorts, so it should be able to map to pretty well. And I don't know if you know Jim Cummings, but he's quite famous for one character in particular.
Is a duck. Oh, bother. Let's get dangerous. Don't ask.
Now, just because I might get shot or something, I'm not going to put those two together. As fun as that would be, I think that's probably not the right move. So instead of that, what I'm going to do is I've got this image of Heisenberg, the guy who helped invent the atom bomb. And I've got a few images just in case one doesn't work. And then I'm going to pair that with this nice scene from Breaking Bad.
Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
Just that last bit, you know, just that one sentence. If I can get Heisenberg to say that, I'll be a happy guy. Okay, so there are a few steps that we're going to have to perform here. Firstly, we're going to have to just cut out that one piece of video, which just has Walter's face, because if we try to run the code on that whole long 2-minute scene, I'm sure it's not going to work. And then, once that's done, we can then pair it with the image and try the same thing we just did with Jackie Chan. Okay, I'm going to use my video editor, which is DaVinci Resolve, which is the best video editor, and if it's for like personal projects and stuff, you can use it for free, so do that. Okay, so now I've added a few more things to this assets directory. I've got the video.
You're goddamn right.
And then I've got a few pictures of Heisenberg. Just looking through them, that one's too small immediately, so we're gonna have to get rid of that. I want one that's kind of the same size-ish, and ideally with the face in the same position. This one seems like maybe it'll work. Possibly. This seems like, okay, maybe this'll do. So let's change the command. I'll copy it from the demo command. Keep everything the same except change the names. So it's rather than being source.png, it's, what is it? Heisenberg 2.png, and instead of driving, it's goddamn right. Okay, cool. So let's try this now. And we will pray, as always, to the machine gods. And hopefully they shall bless us with a video that doesn't look terrible. This is always exciting. This sort of moment of truth is always kind of, ooh, let's see. Okay, maybe that was plausible, although it's basically impossible to tell without the audio. Okay, so what we're doing is we're now running the ffmpeg command. Okay, so now we just run the ffmpeg command again. And we make sure that we use the original video. And the result is always result. It always outputs to a file called result. So we'll just copy it to a new file called heisenberg.mp4. This time it'll have volume. Great.
You're goddamn right.
So that was okay. It wasn't brilliant, but you know, it was passable. Let's just see, for a bit of variety, what happens when we try with the other image of Heisenberg. Assets, it was just called Heisenberg. Okay, cool. So we go back to the command. Not Heisenberg 2, just Heisenberg. And then let's go. It's pretty... Ah, okay, this failed. Okay, why did it fail? Ah, okay, because the other Heisenberg is a JPEG, not a PNG. I've never tried this with a JPEG before. So, let's see. Hopefully it'll still work. But sometimes, with these machine learning models, they're only trained on a certain kind of image. Like, they're only trained on PNGs, and then because the JPEG encoding is a bit different, it just throws them. So, this could very well not work. Now, I'm not even going to look at this result until we add the audio, because that gives us a much better idea. So we'll call it Heisenberg 2, same audio, great, ffmpeg command, nice. Now, Heisenberg 2.
You're goddamn right.
Now, as you can see there, it completely failed to work. I suppose what has happened here is that his chin has been interpreted as a mouth. So let's watch that one again.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah. So again, that was a complete bust. Now maybe you could try moving this image around, or maybe you could try finding a PNG version. I don't know exactly what hasn't worked here, but something definitely hasn't worked. I found that when I was making the Rock one, I had to get lots of different videos of the Rock until I had one where the lighting matched his face. Yeah, so I tried a few things initially. I had to scroll through way too many Instagram videos from The Rock, but originally I thought this one would be funny.
Like all your family, your friends, I am so proud. Like all your family.
I thought that would be really good, and I was trying to superimpose it onto this image, which by the way I found on lexar.art. But this image, it has this really obvious lighting on his face, and you kind of can't really see, his face is a bit dark in this, and I think as a consequence that messed with the algorithm, and we got this result which wasn't very good.
My inspiration,
Obviously,
thank you now for being
that just looks a bit silly. So I tried this one.
all across our great country, all in the world of professional football.
And again, I think because his face was in the darkness here, again, maybe that caused it to have issues. The one that worked was this one. And I thought maybe that would work because the lighting kind of matches the lighting here a little bit. And yeah, this is the one that ended up working. So anyway, I had to do a lot of experimenting to get results. I'm really happy that we got a pretty good result off the bat this time.
You're goddamn right.
Now, of course, what you'll probably want to be doing is using Stable Diffusion to create an image that you want. And I've got a few tutorials on how to install Stable Diffusion in various ways. I'll link the one that I'd sort of recommend below. But what I did is rather than generating my own image, I actually just went to Lexar. Because I wanted one of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I figured, well, there's probably one on Lexar already, and the one I found ended up being a lot better than any of the ones that I could have generated. Like I tried making a bunch of different ones, this one looked way cooler, and way more like The Rock. So let's say we wanted, I don't know, a human with cat ears. You could probably generate one yourself, but, you know, one of these is probably also good enough. And quite probably better than something you could make in 20 minutes. So yeah, this would be my first stop. Like, maybe try looking here before you generate your own thing. And that's about it, guys. I made a Discord, and you can go there if you have like technical questions, and I'll be there answering, and maybe someone else who's doing this as well can help you answer. You know, maybe if you're on a Mac or a Linux or something. Yeah, and that's about it. Hopefully this is helpful. If you make anything cool using this, you know, link me. But whatever you do, just make sure that you stay away from Xi Jinping and Winnie the Pooh, okay? Just, that's offensive, that's not appropriate, that's not funny. Don't do that, okay? This is me telling you in an official capacity not to do it. Hi gang, serious sitting down post-production Luca here. There's two things that I didn't mention earlier. Firstly, if you add this find best frame flag to the demo command, the results will be better. It'll take a little bit more time, but the results will be better. So pretty much always use that, even though I forgot to use it during the tutorial. Now secondly, if you go to the checkpoints directory, you'll see there are actually 4 models and not just one model. And you might be like, well, what's that about? So we used this one model called Vox. As you can see here, the config was the Vox config, but you can change that config to refer to any of these models. Vox, which is what we used, is a model trained on lots of Vox interviews of celebrities. And that's just one for getting a person's head and copying their facial motions. TED was trained on TED Talks, so you use that for like full body motion tracking. Tai Chi was trained on a bunch of Tai Chi videos from God knows where. And MGIF was trained on like a bunch of GIFs of animals running. I don't know. I haven't tried any of the other ones. I've just tried Vox. But don't expect a full body tracking solution to work if you use the Vox model. You should work out which model to use depending on your use case. And you can do that by, you see how it says config Vox over here? Well, if you go to config, you can also choose which model to use. If you do config TED, then it will use the TED weights instead. Okay? Okay, that's all. That's all I have. There's no jokes for you. This is serious post-production Luca. I'm serious. I'm serious about my job. I don't have time for frivolous things like jokes. So that's all you're getting. That's all there is from me. And I would wish you a good day, but because I'm so serious, I don't have any feelings one way or the other. You could die. You could die for all I care. I'm serious post-production Luca.